Oh, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom to you on this Shabbos morning. I, of course, am Rabbi Sol Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And what a delight, what a thrill, what a joy it is for me to be talking to a veteran actor, a person who has been doing Broadway and television and other things for these, and I'm not exaggerating, 50, 60 years. He is also a writer. Let me give you some of his credits. He did the 2015 memoir, Behind These Eyes, Such Sweet Madness Lies. Plus, a book called Where Possums Dance and the Willows Sing, which is, if I take ayahuasca, this is what I see. But let's talk about the acting too, because he's a Tony nominee for the Broadway musical Applause. And if you remember that, it starred Len Cariou, Lauren Bacall, our lovely late friend of the neighborhood, Bonnie Franklin, and also our friend Leroy Reams. So yes, Brandon Maggart was in there and got a Tony nomination. He was, in fact, one of the new faces of 1968. I told you, it goes back a way. Think about it. Leonard Silman, who put these things every year together, was kind of a review that was introducing brand new, thrilling, exciting people into the theater and cabaret world. So you find comedians, you find singers, you find actors, and then they do this big review. It was the Broadway review, the new faces of. So among the new faces of 1968 were Robert Klein, our comedian friend of the neighborhood, and the late Madeline Kahn, and Brandon Maggart. Ladies and gentlemen, so that's pretty good company. He was also, what else do I have in there? And as David mentioned just a moment ago, he was in the premiere episode of Sesame Street, and he has all these other Broadway credits. Unfortunately, we're trying to we're waiting for him. He was in a waiting room, and now we're waiting for him. So, this is called vamping, ladies and gentlemen. They might have to call him back. I may call the lady there and see if. Thank goodness. Because you can see how well I do at vamping. All right, we see a visual, and I'm also hearing some noise there from Brandon Maggart. Shalom, good morning to you.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you beautifully and loud and clear and wonderful. So I'm sorry if there was some mix-up in terms of what time you would be going on the program, but we're very happy to have you.
Rabbi, it's still dark here.
Well,
I'm in California.
California is dark? Why is it so? I see one window behind you. Well, are you in your little den? Are you in your little study or attic, or where are you?
No, I'm in my very large den downstairs. And the lights are a little light on there. Early morning light peeking through the window over here. But out here, anyway, it's dark as Hades.
Well, you would mention hell to a rabbi, but there you go. I was telling everybody that your credits include a Tony nomination for the Broadway show Applause, as well as being on Sesame Street, as being, you mentioned that you acted with our late friend of the neighborhood, Carol Channing. We have so much to talk about with Brandon Maggart. So first of all, welcome. How old are you at this point? Are you...
I'll be 91 in December.
Mit Mazel, mit Glick, and you seem, are you healthy? Have you been, how have you been?
Old.
Yeah.
I'm old as dirt.
Old as, not older than dirt, but, yeah.
I'm old as original sin.
You've been asked this question a few times, I can see. And it's not that original. People were doing it, really even before. So here's the question then. Thank God that you're well, even though you're old. What you've been obviously shifted from acting to writing, I guess, about 10, 15 years ago. How do you get up and write? Do you have a ritual for writing these books that you've been writing, your memoir and these other books?
Well, I was an actor for all those years and did all those shows and television, movies, and everything. And when I was doing a TV show out here, one of those shows of the month or week or whatever it is, and I hurt my back. I was playing a detective and kicking a door down, and I strained my back, and I forgot about it. And that started bothering me, and it was just something that aggravated something else that was already there. So eventually, I had to have back surgery.
Oh.
So that was when I was, well, I didn't have the surgery until much later. So all that time before that, I was hobbling around and finding it difficult to play roles where I had to run and move around or anything. But so I had a marvelous career going, and I said, well, so then I had back surgery. I have a sliver of a cadaver in my back. Yes,
Wow.
yeah, we converse every once in a while. But so I'm fine now. But in the meantime, all during that time, when I was a kid, I was a writer. I knew at the time, I just knew I was a writer because I'd started writing about writing about certain things, and then I was a painter as well. I studied painting, like I began painting when I was 12 years old, I think. I've upstairs a large pastel of a ship at sea that I did, which is on the cover of one of my books. I did several books you don't know about. Not many people don't know about a lot of my books,
Well,
but
yeah.
I just love writing. I love writing about, and I love telling stories, and I love being on stage. I love being in the light, and I love being behind the light, and I love solitude.
Oh, all
I
right.
love solitude. Every morning, Rabbi, every
Yes.
morning, except this, I should call you Rabbi or Dave. What?
No, Rabbi. My name is Rabbi Sol Solomon. Dave is my good friend
No,
who lets me on the
I
program. Yes.
call you Rabbi is fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or your eminence. I really love your eminence. Would be nice. That would be good. Yes.
fuck off. All right, here's what you do, Your Eminence. I'm a godly rabbi. Now, look, I every morning, except this one, I go out on my upper deck. I'm serious now.
Yeah. All right.
I go out on my upper deck, and I have this expanse. I can look up and see the sky from east to west, and when it's daylight, or at night I go up there as well too to see the stars. But I have solitude up there. I'm close to the beach. I'm closer to the beach. I'm close to the bay here, so I can hear the waves slapping at night when things are right. So I just love going up there and having solitude, and let's turn it on or open it up and let go because I'm so old. I have a history, and my mind is open to things when I was in the cradle. I can remember when in a baby bed or some point of hanging on the bed. I can go back. I can remember, and a lot better than I can remember this morning, but but I can remember the colors of things and taste and where I haven't been in my home in many years. I grew up in a small southern town in Carthage, Tennessee. It's along the bank of the Cumberland River near Nashville, 50 miles from Nashville. And we lived on, I had a farm, we had a farm, and I spent most of the time on the farm when I wasn't in school. And we had a little house in the city as well, in the town, 2,000 people. Home of Albert Gore and Cordell Hull and me and some more. But anyway, so I discovered one morning that if I'd close my eyes, I'd travel back in my mind I'm not talking about spooky travel back.
Right, not before you were born, but to your cradle times and to your infanthood. Yeah.
I went back in my mind to the room where I was sleeping in, and I looked around the room, and I saw actually on the table bedside table there, I had a Bible, and I read the Bible every night, but I only read Psalms and Proverbs.
All right. As long as it's not that New Testament shit. As long as it's the good stuff. Yes.
All right. No, I'm not going to say anything. You know, if I get off track, I don't want.
Sure. So you had the Bible, you read it cover to cover, and
Not cover to cover.
just Psalms and Proverbs.
You get kidding? You get lost in there reading the Old Testament and thing, and I got a problem with Abraham, but we'll go into that later.
All right. Yeah. I have no problem with Abraham.
What
I have a problem with Cain. Cain was problematic. Pharaoh, not such a nice person. There are people I have problems with.
I will go into that later. Believe me, I'll go into it with you. But I could get out of my bed, walk out of the room, look around, and open the door down to the basement. It went down. We had a coal furnace. You shovel the coal in on the side and go down in the morning, shovel it in the furnace. But there were the cement steps going down to there, and I can feel those cement steps and see them and smell a little of the coal dust and go. I can walk back up. I can walk into the bathroom, walk around, and walk into my mother and father's room, empty as I walk. But I can go to the dresser where my mother worked, and I can do that right now, and can look at a mirror and see myself as a little boy trying to look over a clock there to see if I was getting any taller every day. And I can go out.
This is a legitimate memory. I mean, you literally can sense yourself there mentally, as opposed to they told me I used to do this, or you actually feel it.
Well, it's not tactile, but I can picture myself there that I haven't seen or been into since this visit. It's been there the whole time in my mind somewhere. The brain cells are incredible. It's like the universe. How many, and so I can go in and I can go around the house, go in the yard, out the thing, go on the farm, walk down, go down the spring. I can do it. So I enjoy doing, and I can go visit people. I can talk to my uncle, and same way.
Yeah.
I can see my uncle and my aunt on the farm, and my pony down by the river, fishing down the river. I can go. It's available to me.
Great. That's fantastic. Let me ask you. I want to pull you off track for a moment because you mentioned growing up where Al Gore was. Did you know Al? Did your family know the Gores and Al Gore and all those?
Of course, yes. They lived. They had a farm too, but they had a house in town. And Al and Pauline, and they had a sister named Nancy, and they lived just almost a stone's throw from my house. But they weren't there. They were in Washington most of the time. But when they were there, and she had a horse, she had a marvelous horse, and I had a horse. Most every kid in town had a horse, and it was a wonderful little town to grow up in. And I actually never really knew Al like I knew his sister and his mom and dad.
All right. I was curious about. So how did you go from being a farm boy, as it were, to suddenly, doing TV and appearing on Broadway? What was the trajectory? Was it college or what?
You have to stop me because I'll start and it'll take 4 days to get there.
As we have some time, it's all right. As long as I have coffee, I'll be.
When I was a little kid, I knew right away that I liked girls, right? And I knew that I liked to. How could I impress a girl? They like to hear me sing a song. So on dates, I wasn't very verbal at the time, and so we would sit there and I would start singing. And they would smile. And I said, well, bingo. Here's the road to where I want to go, you know. So then I went, I used that. I hate to say used that, but I used that to ingratiate myself.
Sure. Actually,
And
don't girls love horses? Couldn't you just say, "Hey, here's our horse"? Couldn't you have sort of done that, or you know?
well, they had horses of their own.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so no, then I had a car. They liked that I had a car. My father was he ran a Chevrolet dealership in town. He was part owner. He was not an owner. We didn't have much money, but we were in that small town. We were fine, you know. And we had the farm which shared with my uncle and an aunt. But so then, and when I went into high school, I was an athlete as well. I played everything: football, baseball. I didn't play basketball, but I was a very good football player. High school, right?
I,
I college too, but I got 3 concussions and had to stop playing. So, but anyway, I had an English teacher named Hattie Terry, and she was one of those rather heavy set, you know, women who like put a lot of white powdered makeup on her face, and she wasn't very available to me somehow or other. I couldn't communicate with her. I don't know, but then my math teacher asked me, Buddy. Everybody called me Buddy. Said Buddy. Said, I want you to do a play. I said, do a play? I don't do a play. I'm a fan. Said, do a play. And she gave me a copy of a thing called The Valiant. Did you ever hear that play? A one-act play, The Valiant?
no, who wrote that thing? I've never heard of
I
this.
don't remember who wrote it,
Oh,
but it was just a little play that was, and I was a prisoner and about to die, and this girl comes to visit me and thinks might be her brother, and I deny it. Of course, when she leaves, we talk about that. She says, "You used to read Shakespeare to me all the time when we were little," and I said, "No, no, no," and then she leaves, and then I start quoting Shakespeare. The audience knows that I. So we did. I did the first time we did that play. This woman, the teacher, I came out of off stage, and she was standing there.
Now, is this the math teacher or the pancakey English teacher?
The pancake English teacher, the math teacher, the director, the English teacher was standing there, alone, and the tears were made. It looked like little canyons rolling down her face. That she was crying, and I said, "Oh!" And she was kind of at a loss for words, but she was saying how great it was. And I saw right then, Rabbi, you could be on stage and you could converse, make contact with people, either with using other people's words as you use other people's words and your own, use other people's words or your own, and communicate. And
Not to mention make girls cry, which is another thing that you can make them. You can listen to your songs and go or if you can get from there and weeping, you might be getting snowflake that day. Yeah.
People love this. And so when on dates, I go out and I sit, in the car with a girl, sometimes double date, sit in the back seat with another. So, I don't know what got in my mind. I sang Old Man River to a date.
All right.
Can you imagine kids saying, I got nothing else to say. Old Man River. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I assume she was not a colored girl, because that would have been much, colored girls work on the Mississippi. She'd be like, okay, let me out.
Hey, speaking of colored girls and growing up in the South, okay? Hang on. Stick with me, Rabbi.
I'm sticking with you, yes.
I can tell. All right, that there was the relationship between black and white in a small southern town at the time, in that little town,
Yeah.
was not really, I didn't even notice it that much, except that we had a woman that was black that worked for every once in a while, but she was like another friend who worked. I mean, but there was a difference, but you couldn't put, but she had so much love in her. And then my sister, 10 years older, she had a woman who lived with her, and she was a African American or black woman, and she had 5 children. My sister had 5 children, but the boss of that family was this black woman named Willie Mae, and she was revered by those 5 boys more than the mother and father, because I'm telling you, there was something about a black mother that is so open, loving, easy to cry, easy to laugh, easy to hug. That now
Kind
the
of
first
the opposite of a Jewish mother, if you think about it. Jewish mother, it's easy to feel guilty, impossible to please, yeah, okay, there you go.
now I'm going to skip ahead and have to come back. Now you'll have to help me if I stick a pen in the thing.
Oh, please, please.
I had a Jewish girlfriend.
Yes.
Yes, many years later, after I divorced and this around, I've been around. Believe me, I've been around. And anyway, wonderful girl. And aren't you from Great Neck, or aren't you?
Yes, good memory. Yes, that's where my temple is. Yes.
She's from Great Neck. She lives there now, as a matter of fact.
Oh, maybe I know her.
But I'm not going to tell you who. Well, I don't know. But anyway, she and her mother. I used to go out there, and her mother would forget I was not Jewish. And we go, because we go out for Sunday lunch. We ate Chinese.
Which that counts.
Everybody ate Chinese there.
Yeah, of course she thought you were Jewish. You were eating Chinese food. This makes sense. Yes.
She would forget that I was not Jewish.
Yes.
And she would talk about shit over there. She said, "Look, goyish cup, goyish cup." Of course, I laughed and her daughter laughed, but that was, and well, I got in. I don't know. Where was I? I got to go back because I'll go down that trail. I was then I went from singing in school, singing in college. I won an operatic scholarship in college. I did with the Grace Moore. You know who Grace Moore was? She was a famous movie. How old are you? 12.
Old enough. Not quite as old as 90, though. So
she was a huge movie star, opera singer, and she was from Tennessee. And they still do it. They have a Grace Moore operatic scholarship. And when I was in college, every 2 years they had an audition for professional singers. They give us a scholarship, an award. Sounded like pretty much then. Now it sounds like lunch money. But I won that. I sang in the operas in university. I'm trying to rush through this. So I was going to go in the Air Force. I went to Air Force ROTC during college, where I was doing operas and plays. I did a lot of plays with John Cullum. You know who John Cullum is, right?
Wait,
John Cullum.
From You're in Town and from what's his name?
Yeah.
Pick it. Yeah. The other one. Yes. Northern Exposure. Yeah.
We did a lot of plays together in college, and then he's a great tennis player. Was at the time, by the way. Other than that, and then anyway, then I went from there. I won that award, and the war was over, so I didn't have to. I spent 4 years in Air Force ROTC. Right.
This is the Korean War you're talking about, not Vietnam. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did I say Vietnam?
No. You just said the war. I was trying to place the time.
No, Korean War.
Yeah.
But it was when I graduated at college in journalism, by the way, in radio and television, by the way, WUOT in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm on the air now.
WUOT, what? Yeah, that's a little comedy right there. Okay. What? WUOT, what? Yeah, comedy. All right. So, but you didn't become like a newscaster or a, an on-air reporter.
I changed majors so many times. I went that I had so many extra hours when I graduated. You wouldn't believe it. I was all over the place. And but anyway, so that was so I'd won the scholarship. I was married. I had my first child, and we were. I was told that well, you can go in the Air Force and be a second lieutenant, or you can walk away. I said, "Excuse me." And they said, "You can walk away." And I had no idea. I was going to be a pilot. I was going to be a career in the Air Force, at least for, and I'd won this award. And so I said, "Oh." And so I went, changed my whole life. So I came to New York with my wife and kid at that time.
Mazel. Now you're placing us, I guess, in the very early '60s. Is this would be the area of when you started to try to act and sing? It's interesting you have become more of a concertee or a nightclub cabaret person. How did your trajectory go to, Broadway and TV?
Well, I wanted to be an opera singer. I wanted to sing at the Met. I wanted to sing all the baritone roles at the Met. And I auditioned with the City Opera Company in New York. And I want to tell you, so I thought I was good, but then I said, well, I didn't get that. And then, well, I auditioned for a Broadway show, but I didn't have an agent. I wanted to sing Broadway too. But I said, well, all right, I have to go to chorus calls. Oh, no, I don't want to. I can't go to the regular chorus call because I'm not in the union. I got to go to the cattle call. And I thought, well, how degrading. I'm going to sing at the Met. I was going, and with my first call, I went, there were guys lined up around the corner, go in to get 2 jobs. There were 2 baritones. Back then, the chorus singers had the voices. There were the big voices in the chorus. The guys, leading roles had good voices too. But the really sound, this was before microphone, everything is glass. There was always 2 baritones, 2 tenors, 2 altos, and 2 sopranos in every show. And that evolved out over the years, but at that time, so I didn't have an agent, so I could the chorus thing. So I was a baritone, so I had a shot at one of 2 baritones. So I got now, but they don't. This is for the open call. Now the chorus call already 2, so maybe there might be a sneaking in 1 baritone out of the open call. So that's a long story. I had to go through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you're not going to get the
I figured ways to be unique. Because right away, I sitting in the wings to hear those voices that were so great then. I cannot tell you the beautiful big voices that were in the chorus. And they were here auditioning. There was a tenor from Kansas. We became friends. We got Huddleston was the last name. But, oh my gosh, he was singing Bohem and everything right before me. And I went out. And this was time, this was in 1958, I think. And anyway, Most Happy Fellow was on Broadway. You know that musical, right? The Most Happy Fellow. So he introduced me. I come out, and there's a work light, a piano player, and they sit out in the dark theater. The audition you, blah, blah. You don't see them. They sit next. You go out, and I think, my heart is so full. Thank you.
Well, yeah. It's like the producers. They come out for half a note, and if you're not right, they're not going to waste their time. They're going to be, thank you.
Don't even look up. So I figured right away, I got to figure out a way to be different. I don't want to be in the chorus anyway. I want to be out of a role. I want to start so forth. So I started making up my own auditions. For one of them, I went out. I got my piano player, and I got a guy to go with me in the wings with a stage manager's pistol. Okay, so he could fire the gun. It did not. So it just makes the noise. It's no bullet in him.
Yes.
But I came out on stage. I was singing. I had a piano player too. He introduced me. Here's Brandon Maggart. blah, blah, and they don't even look up. So the piano player plays my introduction. I don't sing. He plays my introduction again. I don't sing. I'm standing there looking out. I can finally see, oh, their heads start looking up. When the heads start looking up, I start singing. Casey Woodward with the very, weak kind of thing. Finally, and if they start laughing, I get bigger. If they start laughing, I get bigger. At the very end, I'm holding a high C, a B flat or a high C at the end. And I'm holding it. The piano player can't shut me off. I took the guy with me. He steps out of the wings and shoots me while I'm holding the high C. So I did that. So I got in. I did crazy auditions. I got in the doors that way.
What show were you auditioning for? I hope that was not Death of a Salesman. I mean, what show? Well, that wouldn't have been a musical, but Death, the musical. What show would you do that for to even audition?
Well, that one was the first time, first Helza Poppin' I did. Do you know Helza Poppin'?
Yeah.
I did Helza Poppin' with Soupy Sales, and that's how I got that show. And that was in 1967. So I did a lot of the shows before that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a couple of the shows that you did that you were cast for on Broadway. For example, you did a show called One Night Stand, which featured Jack Weston and Kate Mostel, who was the wife of course of Zero Mostel. I didn't do well, but what happened with that show?
I love Kate Mostel, and I did a show with Josh Mostel too, called that we at the American Place Theater, called that Betty Compton and Adolph Green wrote and Phyllis Newman directed, and it was to the American Place Theater, which they have a built-in audience. It runs for a certain one amount of time, and if it's a big hit, then they move it and invite the critics. They didn't. Tova Feldshuh was in it with me. I love Josh Mostel, myself, and two more people. And but then back to Kate Mostel. She was just a lovely, warm, and her best friend was Jack Gifford's wife.
Of course, the Guilfords and the Mostels were great friends, and they wives. I read that book. Yeah,
too. But the show was, and Julie Stein wrote the music. To the One Night Stand.
Julie Stein wrote the score for
music
that book.
For One Night Stand.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what happened with that show, though?
I'm getting up to it, Rabbi.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay.
I'm verbose.
You're 90. I'm impatient. And sometimes we collide, but it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, you can jump in. I'll jump right back. We're at home here. I told you my mother, the woman, she used to call me, "Hi, Goya Shikup."
Yes, and Buddy.
Right.
So what? So we're on this show with Kate Mostel as well as Jack Weston, who was sort of forgotten now, but a very beloved and funny performer.
Yeah. He was in. He was in another show that I saw that he was just incredible. I can't remember the name of it now. I'm old. But anyway, the first time I saw my oldest son laugh really hard was in a show that Jack Weston was in. I took him to see. So that was the show. We're getting back to it eventually. One Night Stand was about. Herb Gardner wrote the book, and also it was essentially about him, and he was becoming ill at the time. We didn't know it. He's a wonderful writer, and he was coming. We didn't know. So Charles Kimbrough played his part on stage in the musical. Wonderful Charles, and so he was out there singing and dancing in this musical with a top hat and tails white and all these incredibly beautiful women dancing around. Rabbi, you would have, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Kleenex, if you know what I'm saying. Fine, yes.
So many beautiful women like you wouldn't believe. They're talented women. But very distracting. And we had a huge advance sale we didn't go out. They said, we don't have to go out of town. Do you ever hear do you know about the theater party ladies?
Oh, sure.
The theater party ladies booked the place. So Nederlander Theater, we didn't have to go out of town. As soon as those theater party ladies came in that first show, and this guy started singing and dancing about dying of cancer,
Oh no.
they
Party
started.
ladies are like they're just a little younger than you. So I'm sure they were just, yeah, no.
So as writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
At that
I've heard
point,
a rumor. I've got a tumor. No, they're just not going to stay for that. Yeah.
that's it. And so I don't know why they didn't foresee that, but we died in previews. They ran out of money. Now, can you imagine Julie Stein and Herb Gardner and this? I was so excited about that show. I played the producer. I didn't have a song, but I had great billing, and but I was there. And what the director was directed all the operas. His name would get me right now. He was schmuck. Excuse me. Sorry to use that word.
Let's see if he's still alive. Let me Google that real quick.
Oh, Dexter. Dexter is John Dexter.
Oh, I've heard he was terror. They said things about him when he was doing M. Butterfly, that he was a real piece of work, that guy.
Oh, he directed a lot of operas too. But I did learn from him. I did learn something from him.
What?
Yeah. But believe me, I always watched. If I wasn't on stage, I was watching. I would sit out in the house and watch. And he saw me, and he said, "Come up and sit with me." And he directed from the first row balcony.
Right.
I said, "What are you doing up there?" He said, "Because I can see the whole stage, the dancers. If you sit down here, you're just seeing the front row."
True. Very true.
Up there. So I learned that from him. Also, I learned that after every rehearsal, he had a young boy that met him backstage or outside, and they disappeared into the night. The next night, another young boy. People have their things. I don't know. I don't know. I worked with Jackie Mason too. You know this, right?
Yes, on Chicken Soup with Lynn Redgrave. Oh my God. So okay.
We'll go there
By the
later.
way, we're talking with Brandon Maggart, who is now going to tell us about Jackie Mason. What was he? He was on this show where they tried to pair him with Lynn Redgrave as like a couple. Yeah, okay, sure. What was it like working with Jackie?
Actually, that couple pairing worked very well because Lynn is so loving. I don't know. Did you see any episodes? We just ran for like almost
40
a year.
years ago, yes, but and they're available on YouTube if people want to watch. You can still see all the episodes of Chicken Soup. You can call them up and watch them today and see. So
anyway, I played Lynn's brother. I had a bar. I had an Irish bar, and she was Irish, and Jackie, of course, was her suitor. And it was all
Irish. I think we can be clear about this.
it was all set up because I was like the Archie Bunker, and he was the Jewish fella dating my Irish sister. So now, listen, I was doing a wonderful TV series at the time. At the end of a 5-year run, it was called Brothers. Did you ever hear of that?
The gay brother.
Yes.
I never saw it, but yeah.
Oh, it's a great series. At the time, it was incredible. That's out of that I did Tevye from after that there was a Fiddler on the West Hollywood Roof. I sent you that clip. I don't know if you watched it or not. It's Fiddler on the West Hollywood Roof. But anyway, so it was all set up. And I was finishing up Chicken Soup, and I saw, Lynn. I'd worked with her before, right? I saw Lynn was going to do with Jackie Mason this show, and it was supposed to be. They'd already done the pilot, and it was going to be the hit of the season for ABC. Scheduled the hit. My show's closing. I said, "Oh God," because I love Jackie Mason's recordings. So.
And this was before Jackie Mason's big revival with The World According to Me, and then for about 20 years, it was huge on Broadway, right? This was before or after his big. I think it was before Chicken Soup came before he
I
his
can't.
great third act. Yeah.
I think maybe I don't. He was big. Jack was big, and so he had put in recording. So and I just so I said, "Oh my gosh, how I would love to be in that show!" But they're already done. They kept the pilot and everything, and my show's closing. I get a call, Brandon. They're adding 2 parts to the Chicken Soup. I said, "Okay, what?" They said they want to see you about playing Lynn Redgrave's brother, Irish boy. I said, oh. So I read for that. I came in and read for it, and I just blew the roof off. Now, because it was written so in the script that I read, that they sent me, and that I read for on the air, it was really good. And with play with Jackie and me, again, like Archie Bunker and Jackie Mason going at it like that, in the same way of not being hateful but combative, that kind of soft core, kind of soft, walking a thin line of their soft core batting like that. I said, oh, and I read for the thing, and I was so happy. And then they sent me the pilot that they did, the whole thing. And I had my son Garrett in. I said, Garrett, they sent it to me at home, and I said, Garrett, sit down and watch this. Oh, what's this? We're gonna it's gonna be, and they played it, and my faces just dropped. They had gutted it. It was like, but then when I did it, and they sent me the opening script, and it was soft like that. But even then, there was a rabbi out here with in California, had a large following, and they would come to dress rehearsal and tapings, and they would give Jackie notes. Jackie, of course, said, Brandon, they say I'm too Jewish. I'm
Terrified.
I don't know. They didn't tell me. I don't know. I'm going crazy. So I stick a pin in that. I want to tell you, Jackie said, Brandon, I want you to come with me. I'm going to do a show tonight. This is before we did any show. We were in rehearsal. We're going to do the first show the next week. And I said, where are you going to do a show? He said, at the Greek Theater. The Greek Theater is a big theater, 18,000, something like that, people. And I said, he said, I want you to come with me. And so I went with Jackie, went to the dressing room, and I peeked out there, and this place is packed. And I said, Jackie, what are you going to do? He said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? Aren't you nervous? No, I don't get nervous. I said, what do you mean? I said, what are you going to do? He said, Brandon, I go out there, I say something, they laugh, I say something else. That's it. And he did that for 2 hours, and they were falling all over the place, and I couldn't believe it. And he was so nervous during the show, though. The taping of the show with the critics, he was so going over. Is this going to be right? Are they going to get me for that? And then he got in trouble with Mayor Dinkins of New York. Apparently, during one of the off times, he said something, maybe, something. I don't know. I say. So everybody got mad at him. And the show wasn't that great. But it could have been magnificent.
I'll tell you, I watched just a little bit the other day just to see it, and I think it influenced Seinfeld in a certain sense because he starts the show with a monologue, like a comic monologue, basically directly talking to the audience, which is exactly what they used to do in the first couple of seasons, where it was just him riffing on something that would then become a thing.
Now, he was always very good, easy with that, because he would, he wouldn't stick to script or when he'd play a different thing. But even then, he so it was kind of doomed. So that was it, and I was heartbroken but Lynn and I, we had done Hills of Poppin' already together with Jerry Lewis.
Oh my! Now wait. Do you have any? Do you have any stories? Because I've
Do I
heard
have,
Devil
oh,
and Saint with him.
Rabbi, do I have stories? Oh my gosh. With Jerry Lewis?
Yes.
Let's jump over to that show.
Well, let's yeah. So we've heard that Jackie Mace that you got along well with him, and he seemed like just nervous about his show. But what about Jerry?
Jackie was, again, he had a manager that had a woman drop by for every morning, drop off and then I don't know. I didn't see, I wasn't there, but that was it. But anyway, with Jerry Lewis, Jerry and I got along great. I auditioned a song I wrote, and he just loved it. He wanted to put it in the show. It's called my jug song, where I just sing to a jug, a crock jug. You're my jug, you're my jug, sitting there all brown and white. A really funny, great, full-blown song. But Alex Cohen said, "No, we can't use that because it's about drinking." Now, Alex Cohen, the producer, had a thing: no snakes and no drinking. You can't have a crossover, a joke with a snake in it, because he had a thing. He'd run out of the theater. If you mention snakes, he's gone. I loved Alex Cohen. Alex kept me working. I did so many shows for him. But anyway, we were great. I loved working for that man.
Wait, who's this? Who was the name?
Alex Cohen. Alex Cohen, the producer.
Alexander Cohen, of course. Yeah, he used to produce the Tony Award shows every year for like.
And Hillary, his wife, they used to produce the Tony Awards every year. And I did several of his shows. Anyway, we started.
How was it working with Jeff?
Abe Burris started out being the director of the show.
Yeah.
And he was there. Abe Burris. Everybody say, "You see Abe Burris?" Because Abe used to blink like that. He said, it was something about that 666 building on Fifth Avenue, where it was, where the lights were blinking. Every time I walk by, I think of Abe Burris.
Burroughs, by the way, if you don't know him, he co-wrote How to Succeed in Business Without. I think didn't he also write Guys and Dolls, or co-write?
Yes, he certainly did. One of the great humorists of the time, a great writer, so well respected, and he and Jerry didn't get along. Right away, Jerry's one. I can tell Jerry and Carol Channing. Nobody else had to say so. It's their show. They say you do this and there's other things. But I was friends with Jerry. Jerry had two faces. One was Marvel, and the other one you've heard about. Yeah. But there were two personalities.
You've seen both. When you were working with him, you watched him be both.
I watched him and close with him. He was very warm and personal, and he could do everything. And of course, it got Abe fired right away. Abe said, "You do this." Jerry said, "No." Abe fired Abe Burroughs, just gone like that. So the stage manager took over directing at the time. Wonderful actor, stage manager, but he took over and he could do, because Jerry was directing, so that was it. They had a choreographer and it was it. But right away, Jerry and Lynn didn't hit it off.
All right. Yeah.
Lynn and Jackie hit it off, but Lynn and Jerry did not. Jerry had a wonderful little girl named Jill Choder, very talented young woman, who was that Jerry is his protege, so he wanted to promote her in the show, and he wanted the good things to go. And she was set up. Here's the thing: this poor thing was set up. Hell's a popular thing. Jerry's always on stage. It's called spritzing. People are always coming in and spritzing. It's stopping. He's trying to do this, and Joey Faye would do a crossover, or I would do a cross. Joey Faye. Oh God, I love Joey, but Joey. Stick a pin in Joey. I'll be right back. But with Lynn, nothing. But Jill Choder was set up. she was like playing an usherette, and she would come up and interrupt. He said, "Go away, go away. Don't bother me now. I'm on stage. I'm doing this. I'm twirling my baton. I'm up in the air. I'm typing my number. That number.
Wait, Jerry used to do that number on the telethons where the typing to the music. He used to do that.
Yeah, he did it in the show, which is one of the best things in the show. But he did all that. He did all this stuff, and then he wrote a lot of other stuff. Was like, oh my God, so too far gone out. He had some set pieces that worked, and we had great dancers again, and great dance and acts. We had Leonardo spin plates up in the air. Oh, a story about that. I'll tell you later. Remy, if we have time, Leonardo story. That's a pop into so many stories. And acrobats, we had all this stuff. And Joey Faye and I played gin rummy in the dressing room. Joey Faye, I never won a game. Joey Faye's good. Anyway, he's a great guy. We opened in Baltimore, and it was well received. And understandably so, it was all over the place. It was all over. That's what's funny. That was when this died. That didn't. Somebody back there, Joey Faye was sitting in the audience, and he'd say, "Excuse me." He said, and Jerry would stop. He'd say, "Excuse me." He said, "Is there a Christian Scientist in the house?" And somebody in the back said, "I'm a Christian Scientist." Joey said, "Would you switch seats with me? I'm sitting on a draft."
All right, cute, funny stuff.
There was some wonderful, but if you get those things get lost, so it was a mess. But as what I did 10 years before that, I did the Hells of Poppy with Soupy Sales.
Yeah. How was Soupy? Did you like Soupy?
Oh, I love Soupy. I just love Soupy. Then we did that in 67 at the Expo. And we were supposed to, George Abbott was going to come in and direct it. We were supposed to come to Broadway because we died up there. Again, it's a miss. Oh, but out of town. I'm a writer as well, but I was in several shows that I would say they knew of. So Alex was going to use me a lot because I could doctor. He didn't have to pay me more than what I'd say. Okay, so I wrote some things for the show, that I would be in or give to other people. I was always known to do that, and I did that. That's when that first Hells of Poppin', what made him keep hiring me, because he knew he had me in the pocket, kind of thing. No money, no extra money, but where was I? Help me. What show was I in? I was back in. Please point me. What show do you want?
We talked about Jerry Lewis, the ups and downs. How about someone who was on this program a few years ago, before she passed, someone that you dealt with for like 2 years? Apparently, I'm guessing that she was great, but her husband was not so great, because you were in Lorelei with Carol Channing. So you must have stories about Carol Channing. And
do I have stories about Carol Channing? Oi, a Vegas smear! Do I have stories about Carol Channing?
Now you're talking my language, so yes.
Schmuck. Now listen.
Not her.
I'm not meaning you, just you know what I mean. It's part of the lingo. So anyway, I started out with Carol Channing. Great. I got a call. I was doing Wedding Band with Ruby Dee and Jimmy Broderick off Broadway. It's a public thing. And it was a wonderful show. I love doing that show. But I got a call. I said, Carol Channing wants you to go on the road with her for a year to play opposite her. Peter Palmer is going to be the Button King, and you're going to be the Zipper King. It's a remake of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And it said it's going to be gone for about a year before opening on Broadway. And at that time, my life was messed up with ex-wives and girls and drinking. By the way, I'm a sober alcoholic. I've been sober for 47 years.
McGlazel, McGlick. That's good.
I've been that too. for 47 years without it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking, you know.
If it weren't for Manischewitz being so disgusting, I would be an alcoholic. But I tried to get a Seder. I was like, how do people get hooked on this? I put it down. I'm like, no, I'm sticking with Yoo-Hoo. So, yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, I grew up on moonshine, but I love that. But anyway, it nearly killed me. So set that aside. So where was I? What show was I?
Carol Channing taking you on the
Carol
road
Channing.
with Lorelai.
Okay. So, Lord, thank you. Every once in a while, I get Mars. Oh, Mars. Yeah, Mars. Okay. So it's Carol Channing. So right away, Peter Palmer and I get along. Well, I love Peter Palmer. He's gone now. Peter Palmer, who played a little Abner on Broadway.
Oh,
you know, Peter Palmer, wonderful tenor. Oh my God, he's a beautiful man. He had 5 children. I have 7 children. He had 5. He had 5. Jerry Lewis had, I think, 6 or 7 children.
All these actors with fine sperm. This is good to know.
Bob,
let me pause you there. But how are your 2 of your children are very well known. 2 of your kids are Maude.
Maude been on your show. My daughter Maude has been on.
Maggart, lovely, beautiful singer and woman. How's she doing? Well, you know, she's still performing. She's still doing her thing.
Oh my God, she's performing great. She's doing a show here at the Gardenia in a couple of weeks, and then she's going to take it to New York. She's going to open at Birdland in New York. I'll promote that later. But I'm going to be in her show. Last year, I did my 90th birthday show last year.
Yeah.
And she did the hostess. She hosted the show, and she sang and put me on. And I meant to be on for an hour, and I went on for 2 hours. You can tell I talk a lot and tell stories.
But everybody wants to hear all these stories. They want to hear what you have to say, of course.
Except for Gerald Steinbach, who I can't even remember his name. He's a wonderful pianist, Gerald Steinbach. He's a wonderful pianist. He's very big and playing in the synagogues out here, and he's very well known, marvelous pianist. But I'm all over the place. And Jerry did, hey, Brandon, we're doing this song. I said, Jay, don't play. I'm talking. You know.
And after 2 hours, he's like, okay, I'm going to need a
2 hours.
Yeah.
He had 2 hairs left.
Also, we have to say that you are the father of another songstress, Fiona Apple Maggart. How is she doing? And how, because she's had it tough in some ways and great in some others. How is she doing, and how are you doing with her?
Oh, I'm doing great with her. I just spoke with her yesterday. She's unique. She's a unique person. Maude was 2 years older. Maude was Maude Amber. Amber, her name was Amber, and then she changed her name to Maude Apple because my grandmother's name was Maude Apple, and Fiona used the apple, and used Maude. It's a long story, short story, but that's it. So Amber was the very pretty girl in school, and Fiona, the boys used to make fun of her. Why aren't you pretty like your sister, Amber? And she became, with this little girl with them. She liked horses. She rode horses, and she was a riding crop. And she would what kind of school because the boys would bother her. It was terrible. But anyway, so Fiona took her angst into the piano. And we had a piano we lived on Riverside Drive, up on the Upper West Side, near Riverside Church, right down the street from Riverside Church. And Fiona would go into her room and pound on that piano, pounding out. And I'm out in California by that time, but she pounded out these songs, and she came out in the summer. All the kids came out here in the summer to visit, and I had a piano out here, and she sat down at the piano, started playing the songs, and at that time she sounded like a 35-year-old black woman. I mean, she could wail that thing in a voice, but that wasn't her natural voice. She was just doing that. But she was a classically trained pianist. Then after that, and she then started writing all these songs. And she came out here, and Marshall Barra, you know who Marshall Barra was? Marshall Barra
He
wrote
wrote
Once Upon
Once
a
Upon a Mattress, right?
Yes, he was a great friend, house friend, and Marshall loved. Marshall was here half the time. Marshall and Ronnie Graham were both. Anyway, Marshall loved Fiona, and Marshall used to record songs. And I was, with me one time, and Marshall said, "Fiona, you want to come up? I got 15 minutes left on my studio time. You want to come up?" Fiona came up and recorded the first little song that was on the tape. She had 3 songs on a tape that her sister gave to another woman in New York, who gave to a manager, who then Fiona became a big star from the little things. So yeah, that's Fiona, and she's done all these. She's named the singer songwriter of her generation. She's won these Emmys. She doesn't care about money. She doesn't want to. She only wrote one song for money, because the producer said at the time said, we have to have a hit song. All these other songs are wonderful. People love them, but we need a hit. And she was like, I don't know, what, 15 or 16 years old at the time. 16. So during a lunch break at a recording session, the first recording, she reeled off this one song, and they came back and she played from it. That's it. And she recorded. It was called "Criminal," and became a hit, and it's been in the movies and whatever. And so Fiona's written a lot of, but she only does it like every 7 years. She has a big hit album. Otherwise, she disappears. And well, she doesn't disappear, but she just doesn't want a publicity. Doesn't touch a piano for a while. She, like me, she walks out in the woods, and she thinks, and if and when she feels like it, she begins. So I don't even write. I don't even know if she's writing. We don't. When I speak with her, we only talk about other things.
Well, let me ask you, since as you, by your own admission, you were for many, many years a fall down drunk, were you estranged?
No, wait. I wasn't a fall down drunk. Let me back up and say that. I never drank before during a show. But as you probably heard, after shows, here's another thing you should know, and probably do know, that there is such adrenaline when you're on stage that when you come off stage, so many actors go to the bar. So that's to get that high again. It's hard to come out of the Palace Theater, you come out and you hit the alley. You know, despite the Palace Theater, bright lights, every celebrity, you go out the stage door, it rats in the alleyway. You go out in the street, there's nobody knows. All of that's in a whole different world, and you're on the street. You need
that time to just sort of, and the bar is right there. So
bar's right, and all your friends are there. You go ahead and laugh and carry a thing, and next thing you know. So that's one thing. Same thing with falling in love. First time, do you remember your first love?
Oh my God! I fell madly in love with charoset at the Passover Seder. So they chopped up apples, nuts, cinnamon, wine. They stirred it all together. Oh, it's been a love affair ever since. But I think you're talking about women.
All right. Well, let's stick with that for a while. Yeah. If you want to go back to the other later, we will. The first Jewish person I ever met in my life was in my hometown in Tennessee. Now, when I kept saying in New York, when I got on stage in New York, I said, I don't know why I'm here. I fell off the turnip truck, and here I am on this Broadway stage. But in this small town, I didn't know. Then we had people who lived across the street. He had a partner, and they had a cab company in Bristol, Tennessee, which is far away. And his partner was coming home to visit and bring his wife and daughter. And I said, oh, they're coming in, and they're Jewish. I said, well, I didn't, okay. Jesus was a Jew, right? Boy, see my, I'm in now. You know? So I swear to God, I go, Jew, yeah. And she was the cutest thing you ever saw. And there was a certain thing was about that. There was a mystery about a Jewish girl. Now that might have been all
the mystery, but yeah.
In my head, there was and to look at her, she was, as we said, cute as a speckled puppy in a red coaster wagon. And so that was my first time.
Yeah, right. That's a good, positive, happy experience, which is good.
Right away, she was on a pedestal with me, and I met her years later. I don't know, but anyway, that's it. But that's how.
That was your first Jewish experience. Yay. You know, we all have to have one. It's a good, it was a great time. It was good. So where the hell?
Two of my daughters are married to Jewish gentlemen. Too.
Yes, mit mazel. Actually, I do have a sad question for you. Am I wrong on this, that you lost one of your, because you're 90, you know, it happens.
Justine. Yeah, of all my life, I've been near death. I've been shot at. I've been chased. You know, husbands get really angry if their wife if the wife says, "Oh, that you stepped out," I just want you to know I slept with Brandon. That is still it's not no good.
So, I don't know what this has to do with Justine, but when were you shot at? Who shot at you?
I ain't talking.
You were talking. You were just telling that you were shot at.
I ain't talking. But one guy did say, he put it in a newspaper in London that had he been close to me, he wanted to garrote me. He would choke me. And he would say all sorts. In person, he didn't say how much to say. But anyway, I don't want to go into that because everybody has kids and things. We don't want to go into that.
You have to name names,
I was on a roll there.
Yeah. So,
Justine. Yeah, Justine, I came out here and I just moved in this house. It was empty at the time. I bought it right here. I had a TV series. Oh my God. I like before my ejaculation show at Bond, I was going to the airport and they said, no, go in and read for this show. I said, but it's on cable. I said, go and read. And it was Brothers and I read for it. And that's how I live in this house now. That's how I.
Yeah, Brothers ran for 5 seasons.
My house. Let me tell you that my house. I looked at it and I said, "This is what I want," because this is going to be a soft landing for any of my children, whoever they are in the world. I have several bedrooms in the house. It's 3 floors up. I have my paintings all up for 3 floors up, and This is my nest here that I'm in right now. And so, anyway, so when Fiona, I was in here, I was sleeping on a futon in the loft and doing the show, and got my daughter to call me. The dad, Justine just got killed in a car wreck. And I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "All right, I'm going to hang up now and I'm going to call you right back. Okay, don't leave." And I hung up. And I swear, Rabbi, I bellowed like a animal. I lost it. I lost my mind. Anyway, it's a long, long story of that, trying to get down from that and becoming to reality. I said, I said to God, if I could get you by the throat, you know, where were you? What you know stories of like that, I'm sure. So, but anyway, it took me a while. I was doing the show and
You're okay with Because the idea of being able to go on after that, because it's a non-normative for a parent to lose. It's not the normal experience, you know. Okay.
Hey, that's okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're okay.
They had to write me down a lot because I would break out crying. Anything emotional that came up, I would just start crying. I got through it, but I've lost a lot of people and lost my. I was with Lynn when she passed. I was in Redgrave. Lynn and I later on, after she got divorced, got together, and she lived here with me for a few years at the end. So we were very much in love at the end, and I was with her when she passed, but back in the East in Connecticut. But I was with my friend Ronnie Graham when he passed, and but I was destroyed when Justine passed. But I'm here now. But that was the only.
This writing, because you've written a memoir and you've written other books, did that help you get over? And you don't always get over, but does it get you
Okay,
through?
Rabbi, here's the thing. Thank you for asking that, because in the middle of writing one of the books, at the first beginning, I put this in the book. I forget which one. I said, "Oh, I have to stop here because I'm revealing myself. I'm getting this out of my system of all this thing of where I've been, what everything, all this stuff." I said, but there are other people involved. I have a family here. So I have to stop here because I'm hurting. I, although I'm helping myself, am I putting the weight on them, unnecessary weight on other people, especially in my family and other children who knew people who, you know, were involved. And so I went to my children and they always, Julianne said, and especially Fiona said, Dad, Julianne said, Dad, we all know everything anyway. We love you. We know who you are. We know what your heart is and what and and Fiona said, Daddy, don't ever let anybody ever tell you what you can or cannot say and what you can or cannot write. You write it, and that's it. And I've stuck with that, and I stick with it, and that's the way she writes. She puts it out there, and when she writes her songs, when she was so little and writing that her first big hit came out, the young women had all this stuff in their head, and they heard her song and said, "That's me, that's me, oh my, that's me." And it was like an avalanche. And she went on stage for the first time in front of a big audience in Paris, in front of this huge audience. There's a little girl in the piano like that. And she came back, and it was big. And the first time I saw her on a big theater was here at the Universal Theater. And she came in by helicopter or whatever, and it came in, and who else? It was wonderful people. But at the show, and the place was packed. And towards the end, no, then here's Fiona Apple, and this little girl walks out on stage and climbs up on the piano bench almost, sits down and plays this song and sings quietly. And you have never ever heard such quiet in an audience. It's like in your whole life. And she blew the roof off of that place. And I said, I'm looking at this little girl who used to sit over there at that piano and play this. And she's sitting in there. And of course, then I saw her many times at concerts after that. But that first time, it's saying, wow.
I think they call that nachas, what Jewish people say.
I had nachas like you wouldn't believe.
Well, we have a lot of nachas talking to the full of stories, the vibrant Brandon Maggart. We have just a couple of minutes left, but I want to remind people that they can get some of your books, including the memoir Behind These Eyes, Such Sweet Madness Lies. But you've also, what's your most recent book that people can, is that the one, or is it the later? There's much later ones than that. Yeah.
I think the latest one is where possums where
Possums Dance and the Willows Sing.
Possums Dance and the Willow Sings. It involves being, well, it kind of says itself, where you out. I tell a story about being out and seeing possums getting up. They play dead, or they don't play. They faint.
Oh,
yeah, that's what happens. A possum gets frightened, they faint. They fall over, and then they get up and go away. It's,
But what is is it a children's? I mean, what is the actual thing in the book? What's the?
Oh, it's like what with the other ones were bananas and women and booze. What's that title?
Whiskey something and booze.
Whiskey, women, and banana peels. That's easy to explain. Whiskey, I've already talked about. Women, I've already talked about. Banana peels, that's whiskey and women, and I stepped on the banana peels usually. That's that one. But the other one was I just where Possum Dance and the Willow Sings. It's about a lyrical thing about being out in the woods and seeing possums dance and being frightened and being by the river and the willow sings. I wrote a song about hearing the willow sings in the river. I've written a lot of songs and plays, and I've written a lot of my own stuff and a lot of songs that were, as Marshall Berry used to say, the hills are alive with the sound of my unpublished music, But
what have you been working on most recently? Then, are you working on another book, a novel, short story?
Oh, I'm working on the book of a lifetime.
Yeah, your lifetime.
I'm trying to get Kamala Harris elected president.
All right. Yes. Yes.
I'm on Facebook. I don't know. Every day, I'm talking to the public. I'm telling stories, talking to the public, and some way, I've got to talk to my Bible Belt people, get through to them, the national, and I'm through to. It's so encouraging that there's so many. I'm in touch with a minister, a Methodist minister, a woman, and she's marvelous, and she sees it too. That this is not Christianity. It's the Bible. We talked about the Bible. The Bible. I stick to love thy neighbor as thyself, and that's it. The rest of it is, love thy neighbor. Love. That's God is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. That's it. The other stuff you can argue about. Think of the 100 Years' War. Christians, Protestants, and Christians fought for 100 years about who's right. What sense does that make?
I mean, if it was 97 years, I would understand, but 100 years is just that's pushing it, I think.
That's another thing too. I went to a Seder on Long Island. My friend Susan from Great Neck went there, and I mentioned Jesus, and they said, "I love Jesus. We hate Jesus." And it wasn't that because at the time, the Christian church in Germany looked the other way. Looked the other way. Adolf Hitler said, "Look the other way." I have no excuse for that, except for a couple of them, a couple of priests who ended up, one dead and one died in concentration camp.
That's why the others look the other way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I said, no, that shouldn't they? Jesus, they co-opted Jesus. What Jesus said was love thy neighbor as thyself. Even in Rome, the politicians took it over. They took it over. Donald Trump comes in, holds his Bible upside down. Can you think Donald Trump could tell? He can't quote a verse from the Bible to save his life. But when they co-opted, Jesus was fine with me. But when she said that, I said, no, it wasn't Jesus. It's what they did with Jesus. Just stick with Love thy neighbor. Okay, that's all I can
I'm more
say.
of a respect thy neighbor because you can't force somebody to love somebody else, but you can force them to
Well,
respect.
love is, yeah. Love is interpreted. You can love your dog, love your kid, but love it all
Well, if
in.
you love your dog, you should be arrested depending on what you're doing to it. You know, that's something we don't want to go near. But yeah,
Oh, I wish you had time. I worked on a song. How much time we have left?
we'll go to the top of the hour because I do want to ask you about Sesame Street before we go. But please, if you want to
Oh,
share a song, I would love to hear it.
ask me about Sesame Street. I worked a song I'm going to sing pretty soon. I'm just going to sing the first,
Please do.
from Milk and Honey. You know, I will follow you. I am ready to go wherever you happen to lead me. Just in case you might happen to need me. All that you have to do is turn around and I'll be following you. Kamala.
Well, that was Milk and Honey. You said that was from the Jerry Herman show, right?
That's the Milk and Honey, which I sing at the end of what I'm going to sing now. I set it up by singing. I'll just sing it the first time.
Sure, sure.
To Camelot. By order, spring will stay throughout September. You know Camelot? Camelot, that's right. By order, spring will stay throughout September. Our Halloween has grifters on the run. On holidays, we hug this total stranger here with Camelot. So I have a whole lot of wonderful things to sing, and at the end I sing, "I will follow you, Camelot." Don't you love that? I will follow you. There's wonderful
So
Jewish.
what you're saying, you're going to be doing this at your 91st, or when and where are you going to be doing
I'll
this?
do that 91st. I might do a little of it on at Maude's show in a couple of weeks out here, but she'll let you know. I said
Yeah.
I told her not to promote me in the show, so she's probably going to just pull me up on stage, and we'll talk a little bit about shows, and I might sing a little bit. So I don't want to go anything like that. All right, you wanted to ask me about Sesame
Yeah.
Street.
Last question for Brandon Maggart because you were in the pilot of and also the first episode of.
No, the first season, the whole first season.
Yeah.
I had to leave because they didn't want to pay me. They wanted to they said, well, we have to approve any roles on the television or films you do. I said, wait a minute. I can't go to people and say, wait a minute, I got to get approval from Sesame Street to even read for you people. Or if they want me, they got to get approval. I said, I can't do that. And by the time that time, we'd already done the first year anyway. So it's a long story, but that's why one of the reasons, but the main reason I couldn't go back. And
Because
Jim,
they wanted to make sure you weren't appearing in any like R-rated movies or.
I turned down the starring role in a movie that they didn't even know about because I said I didn't like it. It was disgusting. And I didn't want children they wouldn't see the movie anyway. But I turned it down. I didn't check with them. I
It was
just turned.
Midnight Cowboy. Or no, I'm kidding. What? Do you remember what movie was it? Did they make it?
What? Oh, some movie, Cry Uncle. John Avildsen directed. He directed.
Rocky. This is the guy who went on to make Rocky.
He wanted me to do this movie, and I said, "Oh, I can't do it. I just can't do it." Anyway, he's a wonderful guy, wonderful director. He's gone now, I think.
Well,
Anyway, they did the movie without me.
Any memories though of working with or for Jim Henson or CTW, Children's Television Workshop?
Let me talk about Jimmy Catuzzi first. He was my partner. We did a thing called Buddy and Jim. You should look those up. Those were classics. Hollywood went crazy. They flew us out a couple of times. Went to see if we could do a remake on the Jerry Lewis show movie. I mean, this, that, yeah. They never could work. They wanted to do a pilot with us of The Odd Couple, and then at the last minute they changed that. you know, there's trouble with Sesame Street and this and so forth. But if you want to ever got any time, if you have children, to look up Buddy and Jim on Sesame Street, you will laugh your caboose off. It's
Laugh my caboose off. Oh, I just got a message handed to me that I'm needed for an emergency bris. So I need to perform this before it.
Rabbi, it's been great. It's been great with me chatting with you, listening.
It absolutely has. Remember, folks, if you happen to be in California and you're seeing, oh look, the baby's crying in the back. If you're gonna go see Maude Maggart in a couple of weeks, is she at the Gardenia Room or where is that?
Right room out here. By the way, I went to a bris once. No, not going.
It wasn't your own. As long as it's not your own, it's not so.
Oh, you people. Oh, I don't know. What are you talking about? Don't throw that away. Oh, they save them. They use them for fish bait. Anyway,
give it to the waitress as a tip. No, I'm kidding. So, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Maggart, what a delight. Well, please come back to us. Tell us more stories, because there's half the questions I wanted to ask I didn't even get a chance. But so many stories, so many books. Wishing you, obviously, good luck, good health, much mazel, more writing, even more performing, perhaps. Just have a wonderful, wonderful life. Thank you so much.
Mazel tov.
Shalom to you. Bye-bye now.